Hello everyone and welcome to Dorm Improvement. I'm your host Joe Kubicki. My co-host Matt Kopleen has the day off today. Today's project is a multi-purpose item. We're going to take this 5-gallon bucket that is great for storage and turn it into additional seating. Seating in your dorm room that is not your bed or desk chair is hard to come by. This option doubles as a storage system and can be put out of the way when it is not needed. Here are the materials you will need for this project. A clean 5-gallon bucket with a lid, a 2x2 sheet of 1/2-inch plywood, foam or pillow fluff, 1 yard of fabric, construction adhesive, 3/4 inch screws, and optional is paint to change the color of your bucket. If you decide to paint the bucket, it is best to do it at the beginning and let the bucket dry completely before starting the rest of the project. We are going to start by measuring and cutting the plywood. So to do that, there's a couple of different ways we could measure this. We could get some string and take 2 points and then transfer it over to the plywood. Or what we're going to do is take a sheet of paper, because it has a little bit of a dip in here, and we're just going to take our sheet of paper and kind of trace very lightly, just so we're barely hitting the edge. And so now we're just going to take some scissors and cut it out. Now that we have gotten the circle cut out, we're going to go ahead and trace it onto our plywood. Our plywood is going to be just a construction grade plywood. We don't really care what it looks like. Nobody's ever going to see it. We've picked a pretty clean sheet. And so this is definitely a lot bigger than what we're going to need. So we're not going to cut this out here in the middle. We're going to push this circle here towards the edge so that we can maybe use this again for a later project. And so first, we're going to go ahead and tack this down with just a couple of nails. You could use push pins. And now we're going to go ahead and get the jigsaw set up to cut this circle out. So now a jigsaw is a very common tool that a lot of people have at their homes. It's a very useful tool. But we also have to remember safety is definitely the most important thing with using any power tool. Now, unlike most of the other saws, we have to go ahead and set up the blade. Now, this one, you have to undo a pin in here first, and so we've already loosened that up, and then we will add our blade. The blade is going to slide in here and be pointing in the direction of the front of the saw. So our blade is going to go this way. This blade will go up and down and will push the saw through the cut. The other thing you want to look for is a wood cutting blade. This one has a little bit bigger teeth. A metal cutting blade will have a lot finer teeth. Also, when putting the blade in, you want to make sure that the cord is not plugged in. You don't want this saw to accidentally turn on you. So now that it's all set up and ready, we're going to plug it in and just test it, make sure it works and not going to fall out on us. Should be in there nice and good. Now we're going to go ahead and secure the plywood. So now to make this cut, we have clamped our board down to our table and secured it. Now when we're cutting, we want to remember to keep the blade going away from us. We don't want to get our hand out in front because there's not a whole lot of guarding out here to protect our hands from this blade. So we're going to keep our hand well away. We'll put it on the wood so that we don't have it fall off the table on us, just in case one of the clamps does fall off. Also, when cutting a circle, we're going to want to go very slow, and we want to make sure that we can go away from the circle. We don't want to make a mistake to the inside of the circle. We want to go to the outside if we're going to make a mistake. The The other thing to remember when using this saw is we also don't want to have our hand underneath the piece of plywood. This blade at any time can deflect as it's cutting through the piece of material, and we don't want to have our hand anywhere near where we're cutting. The other reason is that this blade also may break off just from the heat or being worn out. Now that we have gotten the circle cut out, we're going to use this as a template to cut our foam to cover the plywood. Now, you could use foam like this, which is exactly for what we're going to use it for, seat cushions, or you could use just white fluff. That works as well. So we're just going to go ahead and take this foam and trace the first piece, and we're going to cut it with a utility knife. All right, now we have finished cutting the foam for the top, and we've done this twice. And this is so that you'll have a little bit of an extra cushion on the seat. It's better to use too much than not enough, because eventually this will get matted down and eventually wear out. But for now, 2 is good enough. So our next step is going to be to measure out the fabric that we bought. And we on purpose bought too much, because it's better to have too much than not enough, because you might mess up at some point. And so we took a nice neutral colored fabric. The less you actually have to measure with a tape measure, the better it will be. Which sounds very odd, I will agree with you. But for this kind of thing, we can just eyeball it. So we'll just kind of take it, fold it up till it looks neat, and then we'll go ahead, we're going to trim it right about there. Now we're going to take the 4 corners one at a time, and we're going to pull it tight, and then we're going to put a staple in. Then we'll go back to the 2 ends. Now here is our seat cushion, and now that that's done, we're going to take our lid and drill a couple of pilot holes up from the bottom. For that, we're going to use our drill with a 1/16 drill bit. Now our next step is going to be to add some construction adhesive to the top side of our bucket lid. We are going to take our seat cushion and we are going to put it on the glue. And then our final step will be to take some 3/4 inch screws and put them through our pilot holes into the wood. And see, now these 2 pieces are perfectly secured together. And there you have it, a wonderful 5-gallon bucket seat that you can make at home. This bucket seat is great for seating and storage in any dorm room. We'd like to thank you for joining us this week on Dorm Improvement, and hope you picked up some useful tips to make this project at home. Check out dormimprovement.com for more information on upcoming projects and future episodes. Until next time, I'm Joe Kavicki, and this is Dorm Improvement.